morning in a broadcast exclusive, the wife and lawyer of Robert Carafa tell the story of a man they say was treated like a drunk and a fool by Philadelphia police when he was actually having a stroke.
Did the actions of the doctors and the police risk his life? Find out.
Well, you saw the Daily News headline on Monday, November the 17th, and you couldn't believe it, right? The headline said, "Stroke Victim Jailed." But as you read on and as you watch Action News and lots of other newscasts that have taken place over the last couple of days, it appears that, in fact, that is exactly what happened. Is it outrageous? Well, in newspapers like the Philadelphia Daily News and other newspapers have said, yes, indeed, it's outrageous, it's intimidation, and it's something that should not happen in our city. But we don't know all the nuances and all where the I's are dotted and the T's are crossed yet. This morning we will. I would like to introduce you to the wife of Mr. Robert Carafa, who is the gentleman in question, and also his attorney, Attorney Stephen Scheller. Now, this is a complicated story. Bear with me for just a minute or two, and I'm going to run these facts by you, okay? This whole episode occurred a little bit more than a month ago, October the 17th. Friday night, 8:30, Northeast Philadelphia. An accident takes place. A man hits two parked cars, and he slumps over the wheel. One of those cars is a police officer's car. When the police arrive on the scene, the man inside the car has removed his pants. He's incoherent. He has also defecated in his pants. This individual is not tacky dressed at all. As a matter of fact, he's well dressed. They put him in a paddy wagon. They take him to the roundhouse. This is at 8:30 p.m. 2 a.m., about 5.5, 6 hours later, they attempt a breathalyzer test. The gentleman is still incoherent. The breathalyzer test is not taken. 35 to 40 hours later. Now, we're talking about a span of time from Friday night to roughly Sunday to early to mid-morning. He's arraigned. A public defender represents his client, who is still incoherent. The bail commissioner decides that he is, quote, psychotic. He's held on $5,000 bail. He's taken to prison. Has he had his one phone call yet? No. There is a regulation in the Philadelphia Police Department that a person has to be examined by a doctor if they're still incoherent or something is wrong within a period of 8 hours. You say that the first examination, Mr. Scheller, took place 50 hours later?
Yeah, 3:09 a.m. Sunday night or early Monday morning.
So in other words, the span of time between the time, here's an individual who hits two parked cars, his pants are off, he's defecated in his pants, he's taken to the roundhouse at basically 8:30 on Friday night. The first time a doctor lays eyes on him, even though he's been incoherent all weekend,
yeah, let me correct
is 3 a.m.
for 1 second. He may have been examined at the detention center maybe a few hours before that, because there is a note in the Nazareth Hospital records that the that a doctor at the detention center reported that he was incoherent or schizophrenic.
Okay. Monday, 3 a.m. So now we're talking about a period of like 55, 60 hours into this ordeal. He's taken to Nazareth Hospital on a stretcher, still incoherent. Tests are run. They show a 17,000 white blood count, and according to the health professionals, a normal white blood count would be what?
About 10 to 12,000 at most.
And this blood count would indicate what?
That there's something radically wrong with the man. And in addition, there was a 309 blood glucose showing, again, a serious problem, since a normal is between 60 and 110.
And he had 309?
And he had 309.
Okay. 4 a.m., the nurses report that the man is unable to speak. A doctor okays, even these health conditions all existing, a doctor okays the return of this individual, what, back to the roundhouse or
back to the
prison?
Detention center, back to the prison.
To the detention center, okay. He's then sent to Giuffre Medical Center, and at the time that he was sent was what, basically about 12 o'clock in the afternoon?
No. The facts have gotten worse since the newspaper articles. We did not have the Giuffre medical records at the time the articles were published. He was not admitted to Giuffre until sometime midnight on or 12:09 a.m. Tuesday morning. So
okay.
He was back in the detention center for another full day.
So this is an individual who was involved in an automobile accident, who had his pants off, was taken to the roundhouse incoherent Friday night at 8:30. and Giuffre, where ultimately he would be diagnosed as having a stroke, is now we're talking about Monday night. We're talking about 3 full days later.
Arrested at 8:30. He was allowed to lie slumped over in his vehicle till about 9 to 9:30, when it took 4 police cars and a paddy wagon to respond to the call, which I'm astonished. And then he was removed. The police also charged him with leaving the scene of an accident, even though he was slumped over the wheel of his car for some 30 to 45 minutes.
By the way, the face you're seeing on your monitor is Robert Carafa, the gentleman we're talking about, and I think we also need to take great pains to say that this is an individual who is a community leader. This is an individual who has got a job that I think that most of us would consider to be a successful one.
Yes, Mr. Carafa in 1986 was the I'm told, the leading salesman in the country for Automatic Data Processing Company, a very large corporation. The owner of it, whose stock is now in trust, was Frank Lautenberg, who knows him personally, Senator Lautenberg from New Jersey.
Okay. As I continue, and we'll try to wrap this up because obviously there's some real major issues being raised by this whole thing. We're now Monday morning. This original episode took place about 8:30 Friday night. We're now Monday morning actually into the day. Noon he sent to Giuffre. At 8 o'clock Monday night. Basically 3 full days later, they have diagnosed the man has had a stroke.
Right, and according to the records at Giuffre, which are still not clear in our mind, we're still investigating it, it doesn't appear that a neurologist saw Mr. Carafa until approximately 8 p.m. in the evening of Tuesday evening. So he's admitted 12:09 a.m. Tuesday morning. And I don't think they had a proper examination of him completed or done until the evening of 8 p.m.
A couple more quick things. At what point did you find out from the Philadelphia police that your husband had been arrested and detained?
I received a call on Monday night from Officer Medanek telling me that, asking me where my husband was. My husband and I have been separated for over a year, but I didn't tell that to the officer. I just wanted to know why he wanted him. And he said he hit my car Friday night, and I want to know what he's going to do about it.
So the Philadelphia police had not contacted any family member?
They did not contact me at all.
Okay.
During this whole 4-day period.
Okay. Was their identification sufficient on his person
Yes.
to say where he was, what his number was, and who to
Yes.
call in?
His wallet was armed with identification. He not only had 1 photo driver's license, but 2 because he had never thrown away the original one.
Okay.
Business cards, credit cards.
Well, we know that the identification was with them because they did call from the hospital on Tuesday evening.
Okay. They'd called from the hospital Tuesday evening. They told you that your husband was very ill. In fact, he was in the intensive care unit.
Yes.
And this was the first time that you were aware that he was ill?
Yes. Yes. This is the first time any of us, throughout that Tuesday, I had been making phone calls to friends, his office, trying to reach him to ask him about this accident that Officer Medanek had referred to on Monday night, and to let him know that Officer Medanek did indeed want to reach him.
Okay.
I had asked the officer if you arrested him on Friday night. He never mentioned that he arrested him because he was drunk. He said he hit a couple parked cars and attempted to leave the scene of the accident. That's all he told me.
Rita, was he a drinker?
No, no, no. No way did my husband have any history of drinking.
Okay. The way things stand now, your husband is in medical center at Graduate.
Yes.
He has had to have surgery.
Yes.
Is it your feeling that the surgery he had to have for the blood clot was necessitated by the fact that he was not diagnosed in time?
I don't think I'm equipped
Mr.
to
Scheller,
say that.
is it your feeling?
Yeah, well, I think, and I met with a doctor this morning to discuss the situation, it's the type of circumstance that if any stroke victim, if you get to deal with them immediately or quickly, naturally their chances are enhanced significantly of avoiding brain surgery and avoiding permanent injury. I mean, I think that's obvious.
Okay, as I told you, it's a very complicated case, but that's the bottom line. The man's in the Graduate Hospital now recovering from brain surgery, and charges are still pending against him. Now, what can be done about that, and what's going on here is something that we will address as AM Philadelphia rolls on. Don't go away. Welcome back to AM Philadelphia. Quite a case. Thanks for calling. You're on AM Philadelphia. What do you have to say?
For downtown, deposit 25 cents and try your call again.
Oops. Well, that's certainly something that we're all familiar with. Good old Ma Bell.
Stand by.
Hi, you're on AM Philadelphia. Go ahead.
Hi, Wally. I speak from experience because I'm a neurology nurse at the Temple University Hospital. And I don't know, I could be wrong, but I don't think people who are possible stroke victims leave scenes of accidents. I find it incredible that the officers should charge this man with leaving the scene of an accident. Another point I'd like to bring up, my husband used to work for the emergency medical service in New York, and people that were found slumped over the wheels of their automobiles were treated as having had possible cardiac problems and were medically checked out before they were removed from the scene. One question I'd like to ask his wife is, was a blood alcohol level test run at any point in this situation? Because if one was run, in my opinion, they would find out this man hadn't had a drink, and then something would have obviously been done to find out that something else was wrong.
Was that test performed?
Only at the hospitals, and it was negative. No effort was made at the Roundhouse. What happened is they claimed he refused the breathalyzer, but obviously he didn't. He was incoherent.
Okay. Ma'am, thank you very much for the call. Hi, you're on AM Philadelphia. Go ahead.
Yes, I'd like to ask the attorney if this is often that this happens. I had a similar situation where there was a misdiagnosis. It happens to be a very fatal one to my mother. How often is this? I mean, we can't sue or anything like that because the outcome's going to be the same. My mother's going to die and she's 47 years old.
Well, often there are a lot of misdiagnosis, and one of the problems we have, and this is goes to this whole problem of medical malpractice. Doctors would like to know that they don't get sued and aren't held to respond for what they have done. I think that this is not an unusual problem. It is it is a problem that occurs in a certain percentage of cases.
Who are you going to sue?
Well, at this point, I would certainly be suing the police department, the city of Philadelphia, Nazareth Hospital. We are considering what to do about the public defender, because I don't really understand how a defender can stand there, represent a man who's incoherent, and let him go to jail on $5,000 bail. And we're still continuing to look into the matter further. One of the things I'd like to say is there were some witnesses to this incident. We would like them to come forward. And I asked them to call the station or call my office and identify themselves. We know that a couple called into a local radio station, WWDB, the other night, and said they saw it, and they said they thought the man was ill.
Okay. We, just like everybody else who've been following this particular story, were, I guess, a little bit surprised and somewhat outraged about the fact that after this entire episode, which has been verified by physicians, that a number of charges still exist. So we called Ron Castile. He's on the phone with us right now. Mr. District Attorney, are you with us?
Good morning, Wally.
Hi. As you listen to this story, what are you going to do with the charges against Mr. Carafa?
Well, this story, or this incident, was brought to my attention by one of Mr. Carafa's friends, John Schaefer, the week of October 30th. John, who works with Mr. Carafa, explained all the facts to me, and to me it was very, if it were true as he explained it, it was extremely unfortunate, and it could have compounded some of the problems that Mr. Carafa is suffering now. But at that time, I directed my chief of the municipal court unit.
Okay, I must interrupt, unfortunately, because the clock is staring us in the face. Is it your intent at this particular point to pursue charges against Mr. Carafa?
If the medical records, which we'll have to take to court, show that it was in fact a stroke and he was not under the influence of drugs, then I've instructed our people to withdraw all charges.
Ron, I have him right in front of me.
Very quickly, what is your reaction to that? Does that must...
That's a satisfactory response and an appropriate response from Mr. Castile, and I would hope that he follows through on that.
I must ask you very quickly, will your office also investigate and possibly bring charges against those individuals who may have been negligent in their duty?
Well, we're not sure if that constitutes criminal charges. It's being investigated by the police department right now, and it just may be an unfortunate incident on their part.
But if the medical records say so, the charges against Mr. Carafa are dropped.
Right, because there's no way we could prove any charges like that.
Okay, Mr. Castile, I thank you for being with us, and to Mrs. Carafa, and also to our attorney, Stephen Scheller. Thank you both for being with us. I guess I'm a little bit swayed by the emotion of the moment. The charges are dropped if the medical records say so. So that's good news. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Stay with us as AM Philadelphia continues. Don't go away.